I felt my dog's wet nose rubbing against my hand last night. He died a year back. Posted by u/Hogafido. I really want to apologize for the bad English, but I just had to share this. My dog had been with us for 10 years before he passed away last year. He always slept in my room with me and his bed had always been just beside mine on the right side and still is there. Last night when I was scrolling through my phone I heard scratching noises coming from the same direction as his bed. I ignored the noise as I wasn't really paying attention and that's when it happened. I felt his wet nose rubbing against my hand. This happened a lot of times when he was sleeping right beside me as his bed was very close. I couldn't believe what happened and it could be anything but it just felt like he was there with me. The most eerie customer. Posted by u/Hail to the Beef. First things first, you should know that I am a skeptic and I don't believe in things without evidence. I prefer to think rationally and will try to debunk anything before I put too much stock in it. I do however have a story I cannot explain. In 2010 I was in my early 20s living in Southern California and working for a computer/phone company with big fancy mall stores. Come on, you guys probably know the one. We nicknamed it the fruit stand, and we had just come out with a new phone that was in high demand. Part of working in this store was giving a personal experience to each customer who purchased a product, and helping them get it set up if they so desired. One day, I remember taking a customer for a new phone. The man was very tall and very thin. He had long blonde and gray hair and very defined features, prominent cheekbones and a pronounced chin. I also remember his clothing was very formal. He wore a black suit with a white shirt, not something you would see often in sunny San Diego. The man looked to be somewhere in his late 50s to mid-60s. His hair was graying and thinning, and he was quite pale. During the transaction, it was clear that money was no issue. He picked up one of every accessory I suggested. You always knew rich people from how they dropped cash on expensive products they didn't need or understand. He happily agreed to the insurance program for the phone and the other membership service we were offering as well. The normal process to sell a phone requires the customer's driver's license and credit card. To activate the phone on their phone line we needed to put in their license info and have them give some info to access their account and check for their upgrade. Once I had his driver's license, I discovered a birthday in 1915. This man was 95 years old. At the time I didn't think much of it. I think I politely told him, he looked very good for his age. We finished the transaction, I set him up with everything, and his demeanor was calm and friendly. It was until looking back that I realized how strange it was that he was 95 years old but looked to be in his 60s, and also how not shocked I was at the strangeness of the situation. I now joke that I once met a real-life vampire, because that's the closest thing I can identify him with, pale, not aging, and somehow charmed me into not being stunned by his age. Whatever he was, I do think I was hypnotized to some degree, and that he was not just a 95-year-old human. I work in a movie theater and there's some weird stuff happening in one screen. Posted by u/Azizan. Before I start, let me say that I'm not unfamiliar with the paranormal. I've experienced whispers, shadow figures, sudden senses being triggered, etc. The only thing I haven't experienced is actually physically seeing a spirit. This leads me to my story. I work in a movie theater so late nights are a normal thing. My co-workers are all pretty colorful people that tend to joke a lot, but almost all of us have one thing in common. We feel something off in one of the theaters. I first noticed it in the first month I worked there, and at first it only felt like a mild discomfort, but as time went by, especially in February, the feeling only intensified. For clarification, it feels like something is constantly watching us with this intense malice. Like we shouldn't be there and it wants us to know it. I dealt with this intense feeling by walking in and telling it that I was just getting in to do my job and I'd be out of its hair in a few minutes. For a short time that actually stopped it. Until February 2020, I was working late, making sure the bar glasses were collected, and it came to the time of the night where I had to go into this particular theater. I walked in and immediately the feeling started up with far more malice than I was expecting. I gave it my usual spiel about getting out of there quick, but the feeling just intensified. I didn't find what I was looking for, so I decided to hightail it out of there, which usually helps, but this time it decided to follow me. For context, I was moving at a near sprint and this feeling went from somewhere in the middle of the screen to directly behind me. It stayed at my back the whole time I ran out of that theater and into the next before just disappearing. Now the little silhouettes I see in the dark in my apartment have begun to increase in sightings and I'm not sure what it is. Hopefully someone has an answer for this, cause I haven't been back to work in a while, so I'm hoping to have some kind of answer on this thing. TLDR, weird feeling of malice coming from movie screen followed me into a different theater and now I'm seeing more weird stuff. My dog came back to keep protecting me. Posted by u/BB008. Grew up in Brazil. We have a lot of influence from African religions that deal with spirits. So I was always taught to respect them. My family is Catholic, but they all are into spiritism. My uncle is sensitive, is that how it's called in N? And he could channel spirits. But that is another story. Anyway, when I was a baby we had this beautiful German Shepherd. He loved me and was always lying close to me. He did even let my grandma near me. When I was 3 he passed away. After that, my mom told me this, cause I don't fully remember, I kept going to my mom's bedroom at night saying I was seeing a black dog in my bedroom. My mom called my uncle, he came over, said I didn't need to fear, because he was not seeing/feeling anything bad. He did some prayers and stuff and I started to sleep better. Fast forward a year my parents got divorced and the energy in the house was terrible. I could hear and sense things around. I was always scared to be alone. One night I was sleeping with my hand outside the covers, kind hanging on the side. And I felt a gnat. I still have a vivid memory of it, a dog licking my hand. I woke up scared and saw the black dog by my window again. But after seeing him I wasn't scared. After that I wasn't scared of being alone anymore. Too bad that with time I stopped seeing him. Chico Xavier, and spiritist from Brazil, once said that when our pets pass, they come back to take care of us and they even teach the new pets about the things we liked. I like to think my dog was back to watch over me. I had more weird experiences later, and felt and see things that weren't nice. I also had kid spirits in my room when I got older. My uncle said that they used to come because of my toys and they liked my room. I used to see lights blinking and they were noisy. I think my whole family is very in touch with whatever is out there. We all have stories with the paranormal. I don't like much, I try to not think much. My uncle and mom always told me that what's dead can hurt you, and we have to fear the living more than the dead. But still, until this day I don't sleep with any part of me uncovered. Ha ha ha. I have more crazy, unexplained stories, maybe I can share more later. Smile. I can ask my uncle if he is okay if me sharing some of his stories. And sorry for any grammar mistake. N is not my first language. Experienced a car crash yesterday morning that didn't actually happen. Posted by u/Alexandhat. So I don't really know how to explain this or if it even fits on this sub or even what actually happened if I'm being honest, but regardless I will try to relay the story. I was driving to work yesterday morning and I'm coming up a side street that connects to a very busy road in my area. It's the main road that stretches through like 20 towns. I get to the red light at this main road and sit there for about 15 seconds before seeing a car pull up behind me. As the car comes to a complete stop behind me, my eyes drift from the rearview mirror to the stoplight in front of me. It was red still. I then look down to my radio clock and it says 7:36 and, this is going to sound strange, but for a period of time that seemed to stretch on until infinity, I kind of felt like this intense pressure all around me, like I was zoned out and couldn't clear my head or move my body because I was obsessed with the numbers I was seeing, like I was in a trance or something, and it wasn't silent around me but it was at the same time, like very very loud, pressing silence. I couldn't move but I also wasn't trying to move, almost like I was paralyzed with fear and knew I was frozen but couldn't really process it or try to move. I really can't explain it. Even now it's so confusing to me. After who knows how long of being stuck in this trance, suddenly everything snaps back to normal. Instantly. The very first thing I register is that the person behind me is laying on their horn. I look up and see the light is green. I begin to drive forward, feeling completely 100% normal again, and once I get into the middle of the intersection, I sense this large presence to the right, left, of me. I turn my head to look out my driver's side window just in time to see a huge truck coming right at me. It hits me and I could feel my body break. I felt and heard so many of my bones get absolutely crushed. Suddenly I'm upside down in my car, in so much pain I can hardly breathe, covered in glass, and I can hear someone screaming. The last thing I remember before I passed out about 10 seconds later was seeing cop lights and distinctly thinking to myself, wow, how did they get here so fast? This is important. The next thing I remember, I open my eyes and I'm sitting in my car at the red light. The intense pain I felt a moment ago is fading fast, but it's still there, only almost like a ghost version of itself, if that makes sense. I'm intensely confused at this point and I start looking around in a panicky way, and my eyes trail across the clock again. It says 7:36 and I'm beyond confused. I know it wasn't a daydream. It was so goddamn real. I'm frozen in place staring at the clock trying to figure out what the fuck just happened. After about 5 to 10 seconds, I hear the person behind me start to beep at me, but I'm shaking and about to cry and so overwhelmed with leftover fear that I can't even react to it. They start to lay on their horn and I still can't move because I'm just so confused and frightened. Now at this point I was starting to calm myself down and trying to rationalize what happened. I was beginning to convince myself that it had to have just been a daydream. It was early enough and I was tired enough that I even started to think I just nodded off at the red light and dreamed the crash. What the hell else could have happened, right? If it weren't for what happened next, I probably would have been able to go the rest of my life believing I had fallen asleep and dreamed it. The moment the clock turned 7:37, like the very second the numbers changed, a huge truck comes barreling through the light, definitely speeding. They ran their red light and crossed right in front of my car. A few seconds later a cop, who must have just been driving behind the truck in the first place, runs the red light as well, turning on his lights in the process and beginning to pursue the speeding truck. They both drove out of my view within a few seconds. I was so shaken I just pulled my car to the side of the road right where I was and sat there in silence for I don't even know how long. Like, what normal explanation could I possibly come up with for this? There isn't one. I hadn't seen the truck or the cop car before they ran the light in front of me, so how did the dream crash I had include those very specific and very real details? The entire area I live in is covered in trees, so it's not like I can see very far down the road in either direction. I know for a fact I did not see the truck or the cop car before I experienced the crash. I'm still so shaken. How do I rationalize this experience to myself? I feel disillusioned by something, but I don't even know what. I feel like I'm going crazy. I needed to share this with people who won't automatically dismiss this as a hallucination or a dream.
Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe for more videos.